Sarah-Louise Robertson is an arts and culture expert. She joins us from London. She's an associate diary editor at the Mail on Sunday. Sarah-Louise, thank you so much for your time. I think I have to call myself a former film buff. I love cinema, but I've never heard of Anora. How did that happen? Is this a worthy winner?
Some people have said it's not. It's one of those that sort of came out of nowhere and started getting lots and lots and lots of hype. So it's an independent film. People weren't expecting it to do as well as it did. It was made on such a small budget, only 6 million. It grossed 41 million at the box office. But as I say, one of those small independent films that seems to have sort of just sprung out of nowhere. And it's always got that cult indie status. And I think that's what's driven it into the minds of Oscar voters, the Academy Award voters. But there's been a lot of talk about it. I was there when it was the BAFTA ceremony last month, and funny enough, I was sat next to a lot of Mikey Madison's team and entourage, and they just knew she was going to take the BAFTA. It was a shock for BAFTA. I thought it was going to be Demi Moore. I thought Demi Moore was going to take it again. She was going to take the Oscar, and yet Mikey Madison sort of came and stole her thunder. A little bit reflective of what the film, the substance, Demi Moore's film was about. An older woman having to be young in order to achieve status and recognition. And it's a 25-year-old that got the Oscar, beating Demi to the post. So art imitating life, or life imitating art. I'm not quite sure which. But yeah, it was definitely a shock to see Anora do as well as it did last night at the Oscars. But the Oscars is always a night of surprises, and that's what we saw.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily about cinema goers and how popular a film is for cinema payers. It's the Academy members who vote for these awards. So were they sending a political message by giving No Other Land the best documentary, however worthy it would be as a work of art and a film? Is there a political message as well?
They might as well have been, because when the speech was ended last night, there was a standing ovation from within the Dolby Theatre from obviously the Oscar attendees, which was interesting because that film, despite it grossing so much worldwide as a documentary, US streaming giants such as Netflix and other US distributors wouldn't actually show it. So it wasn't showing in America. And so I think there has to be a political message within voters' minds that they chose that to be the winner for Best Documentary. And it's a very, very, very interesting, important piece of work that really does need to be heard.
Do you think Adrien Brody is the greatest actor of his generation? When I watch him, I'm always convinced he's the character he's playing.
Oh, that's a tough question.
He's close, though, isn't he?
But he is. I mean, his body of work speaks volumes, doesn't it? Speaks for itself. And he seems to fully inhabit every role that he takes on. And I mean, yet again, he just blew audiences away. I mean, The Brutalist was a long film. It was over 3 hours. It even had a break, a gap, when it was showing at theatres, so people could go and have a little rest and then come back for the second half. It had an interval. But Adrian's performance, yeah, he was a very, very, very worthy Oscar winner. And he was the favourite to take it. What was interesting that came out during the voting is people who were voting in the Oscars didn't put a vote for Ralph Fiennes, the British actor Ralph Fiennes, because they said, oh, he's won Oscars before. So there's a lot, I think, when it comes to voting, I think sometimes voters don't always necessarily vote the way that we think they do, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? We've done this whole interview without mentioning the inimitable Gene Hackman. Rest in peace, Gene Hackman. Sarah-Louise, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.